I suppose a question I get asked a lot, and I hate starting videos like this. Recently, a lot of people have been asking me. No one's been asking me recently, but people have asked me sporadically over the last 10 years. How do you get into chosen field of sports photography? I suppose I'll put this video together as a bit of a guide, and maybe a guide on how to shoot live sports photography. 10 ways to get into and shoot sports photography. For this video, I've taken a Canon RF 100-500 lens, pitchside at grassroots rugby. All the images were taken outside, and the 100-500 lens gives us good zoom capabilities to frame the action in camera. It's also super quick and super easy to focus. We'll discuss that later on. So here are the 10 tips to get into the sports photography scene of your choice. Tip number 1 is to choose a sport that you love and you understand. The understanding part of it is really crucial because it will allow you to know what positions to be on the field of play. And that's the great thing about grassroots sport, is that provided that you've got permission and you've got access, you can pretty much stand wherever you want and get the angles that you choose. And loving it's really, really crucial, because loving your chosen sport will mean that you'll keep coming back, you'll keep trying, and you'll keep progressing and keep taking better images. Tip number 2 is to start at grassroots. For my wrestling work, I started 10 years ago at local promotions in and around the town where I live. For this project, we just chose a local grassroots youth tournament. We contacted the organisers in advance, asked for permission, got that permission. There's no need at grassroots for press passes, but just a courtesy email and a good line of communication, a little bit of professionalism goes a long way. You will need to check in advance though, not only whether you are permitted to take photography pitchside, but also what the photographic restrictions are. Always good to be prepared, and always good to get that stuff in writing via email if you can. Tip number 3 for pitchside action is to pack a zoom lens. In this instance, we're using the Canon 100-500 RF lens, which is working with my Canon R6. It's got a smooth function on the front dial, which allows me either to have a smooth or a firm transition through the various focal lengths. The smooth allows me to really change focal lengths quite quickly. So when the action moves, I can move quite quickly to try and frame the subject. We're always trying to fill the frame with action and keep the image sharp. And we can do that by quickly allowing ourselves to push and pull to reframe fast-moving objects. Tip number 4 is to get to your chosen sport and event early. Getting there early allows you to wander around, have a look at the pictures, have a look at where all the action is going to be taking place, familiarize yourself with the area and how close you can get. You can even take some images of warm-ups and things that are going along to practice settings and to get ready for the action when it starts. Tip number 5 is setting your camera, and you want to set your camera to a fast shutter speed to freeze action. If you want to do this without thinking about it, then you need to set your camera to shutter speed priority, allowing the camera to make all of the decisions about all of the other settings while you concentrate on setting your shutter speed. But I chose to do this in manual on the day. We had a cloudy, overcast day for photographing. I knew the light was going to be reasonably consistent, and I could set my ISO and my aperture to match a fast shutter speed of around about 3,200th of a second. Tip number 6 is to anticipate fast moving action by using continuous Al servo focus. I've set my camera to a bat. I can't even say back now. And I've got a back button focus on my camera, which allows me to separate the focus from the shutter. For this project, I went into my camera settings and chose to use focus mode case 2, which allows the camera to select the image that I'm originally focusing on, and any other moving parts that come into frame are largely ignored by the camera while it tracks the focus of the subject that was originally selected. But you can play about with these modes yourself. Different sports are going to require different focus modes, and you'll find the one that works right for you. Tip number 7 is to shoot on Jpeg and to shoot on high continuous drive. Jpeg means that you're reducing the amount of space on your memory card and subsequently your hard drive when you get to download them at home. And the high continuous drive allows you to shoot 12 frames per second on the R6, but crucially 40 frames per second if you are shooting in electronic mode, which, because you're shooting outside in natural light, won't cause a problem. The only problem is that you don't get that satisfying click sound when the shutter is released, but you do get more frames per second, which means you're more likely to capture that crucial moment of sports action. Tip number 8 is to vary your angles and try different things. Generally though, at pitchside, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to shoot low angles. This gives a real sense of gravitas to the players from that low angle and also eliminates any obstacles in the background, giving us nice, clear, clean backgrounds to the shot. Tip number 9 is to look for the moments between the action. It's great to get the moment when a ball is struck for the winning goal or placed over the try line for the winning try, but the reactions afterwards from both sets of teams are really, really crucial to storytelling in sports photography and can sometimes get you the best images. The reaction, the celebration, and the heartache for the team that have just conceded, that's where you get your real emotional side of photography for us as photographers, but also crucially for the viewers. And lastly, tip number 10, experiment. Do the opposite of everything that I've said in this video. Set a long shutter speed, experiment with dragging the shutter across the frame, experiment with movement, experiment with more depth of field, experiment with different angles, experiment with different focal lengths, experiment with different lenses. Every time you get there and you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result. So it's important with things that are new not to get stale, to take different bits of equipment and to use different techniques and to try different things, to push yourself outside of your natural creative boundaries and try and do something new. So that's 10 tips for you to get involved with sports photography in your local scene, build up a portfolio and progress up the ladder. That's the way to do it. Dedication, hard work and persistence, making contact and always being professional are the best way to get success. And ultimately, if you love what you're doing, you're not really working anyway, you're doing it for enjoyment, and that's what it should all be about. Photography is a really, really enjoyable way to create art, create moments, and to capture things in time that can never be repeated, and that's why I love it. So that's it. If you've got any questions, stick them in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them. You can follow me on the Instagram and the Twitter at Y2JimBob. It's portrait of a wrestler everywhere else. Enjoy your photography and as ever, all the very best. Boom.